Hey everybody, Mr. Morrell here, and in this video I am going to teach you, we're going to review how to distribute, and then I'm going to teach you a little bit about x squared and what that has to do with distributing. Now this is going to be a big important lesson that's going to set you up for 10th grade, because this is like the focus of 10th grade. So by the end of this lesson you should be able to simplify this expression down here. And I have a Santa hat here just because whenever I distribute, I think of a Santa hat. And you'll see why in just a second if you don't already know. But we're going to start off with a review question. Simplify this expression. We've seen tons of these this year. Like, none of this is new. So when we simplify an expression, something that I personally like to do, I hate subtraction signs on all of my, like any expression. If I see a subtraction sign, I get rid of that. Not really the same for an equation, but an expression's different. So instead of saying x minus 4 here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to say x plus negative 4. Once that's done, we can actually go ahead and distribute this 3 inside of the parentheses. So just as a review, basically the 3 outside of these parentheses means that we need to do 3 times x and 3 times negative 4. So 3 times x and 3 times negative 4. Let's see, 3 times x is just 3x plus, and then we're going to have 3 times negative 4, and that's going to be negative 12. Oh, sorry. My handwriting on the computer is not very pretty. All right, so you could definitely keep that as your final answer, or if it bothers you to see plus negative there as the final answer, we could do 3x minus 12. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, well, we're going to enjoy my handwriting on the computer because it is not going to look good. All right, so that was just one of the reviews that I wanted to do. Another review that I wanted to do is this. Remember that if we have a number being multiplied by itself, so 3 times 3, we could write that as 3 squared. Now, 3 squared can obviously simplify down to be a 9. Those all mean the same thing. The reason why I'm saying this is, what we're going to start doing is we're going to look at what happens when we have x times x. So if you have x times x, that is the exact same thing as an x squared. And unlike numbers world, you can't get any more simple than that. X squared, you can't like magically make that something else. So that's just going to be x squared is the simplest version of that. One more thing that I want to talk about or kind of review before we jump back into the questions is this combining like terms. Oh, I don't know why this box is here. This idea about combining like terms. Now, imagine that we have this crazy expression like this. Combining like terms is pretty simple for most of us. If you remember back to first trimester, like a 5x and a 3, those are different terms. They can't be combined. But the 3 and the 9 are like terms because they're both constants. So we can combine those. The reason why I'm talking about this is an x term and an x squared term are different terms. They cannot be combined. 4x squared cannot be combined with the 5x in that way. All right? So if we needed to combine like terms in this crazy long expression, what I usually do is I just start with the first term. Here we have a 4x squared, and I'm going to look down my list and see, yep, we've got another x squared right here. And we can go ahead and combine those two. So a 4x squared and a negative 7x squared together, that's going to be negative 3x squared, because we're just adding those. All those plus signs means we're adding those together. Then I'm going to keep going down my line. We've got a regular x here, go down the line, and we've got another x right here. So a 5x and a negative 3x together, that's going to be 2x. And then, looks like we go down our line, we've got a 3 and a 9. We can add those together, and that would end up being 12. So again, just the big idea here is that you cannot combine x terms with x squared terms. Those are different terms. All right, with that in mind, let's look at 2 examples of new types of questions. So this one looks a lot like the very first one that we did, but instead of a number on the outside, it's going to be this x on the outside. But it's going to be a really similar idea. So we're going to take this x and we're going to distribute that here. Oh, and I totally forgot. I hate minus signs. Let's get rid of that minus, make that plus a negative. That should be your very first step. All right, now we're going to multiply. X times x is x squared. That's what we were just barely saying. Plus x times negative 4 is a negative 4x. Now it's tempting. You might want to put these together and call it negative 3x squared, but don't do it. Those are not like terms. They can't combine. So this is your final answer. Or you could rewrite it as x squared minus 4x if you want it to be a little cleaner. Both of these answers are true and correct and awesome, and I would take them both. But yeah, those would be your final answers, one of those. All right, let's do one final example. This one's going to have a little more explanation than the other ones, but same idea. I have a 3x on the outside, and I want to distribute this in. And don't forget that we also need to make that say plus a negative. Okay, it's just going to help us so we don't make mistakes. All right, I am not going to multiply the 3x times this negative 7 out here because it's outside of the parentheses. So let me do a little bit of writing over on this side. Remember that 3x is the same as 3 times x. So for this first part, if I'm doing 3x times x, it's basically like saying 3 times x times x. X times x is 3 squared. So that could be 3 times x squared. And that's just the same as writing 3x squared. So basically we have a 3 and an x all being multiplied together. We could write that as 3x squared, and we're going to pretend like that's written really nicely. Plus, we're going to have 3x times negative 4. So same kind of an idea. We're going to have 3 times x times, negative 4. Well, of those things being multiplied together, we could put the 3 and the negative 4 together. That's going to be negative 12x, or negative 12 times x, which is the same as negative 12x. Oh my gosh, that writing is perfect. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and write that in, negative 12x. And we still have our plus, here, let's write it in red, plus negative 7 out here. This is one way to write the final answer. If you want to combine these plus negatives, you could get really fancy and write 3x squared minus 12x minus 7. And either of those answers are perfectly right and normal and good. Can't combine any more like terms after that. All right, I hope that lesson was pretty helpful for you. On your Edulastic assignment, there are examples for every single question. Even on the paper version, I have an example for every single question. So good luck with that. Let me know if you need any help. I'll talk to you later. Bye.